everything, didn't change anything at all, and just doubled it again, your business would be on a whole nother level. Now, something that was new as well for us is something called Team Track. So when you look at Team Track, Jen said now this is analyzing other people on your team and how much they contributed. So now you can actually break down who did what. Like if I could break it down, now I see, okay, this is how much of my the production came from Josh, how much came from Morgan, how much came from Otis, how much came from Maryland, so on and so forth. How many recruits did they bring in? How many people did they all get licensed? And now you can start to get a bigger picture of who's on your team and what they're contributing to. And then Bruce also said, look at those people. Are they direct to you or are they deep? Which means under somebody, under somebody, under somebody. So for example, what does that mean? If they're direct to you, everybody that you're working with directly and training are the people that are like sticking around and producing. That's okay. But you also want to get to the point to where people under you are producing, people that you have no idea who they are, what their names are, how they came in. When your business gets to that scale, now you know that your duplication in your system is on par, right? Because now there's other people on your team that you're not directly working with on a daily basis, but they're also producing and contributing to your business. So those are some major areas, guys, there. So now we're going to go back to Jen.
Great job, Shondell. So how are you going to build this trend, guys? So one thing that I was thinking about when both of these guys were talking, and I don't know if you remember, Shondell. I don't know. I don't think Josh would remember, depending on how long ago Shaq did this. But remember when Shaq did report cards for us? Do you remember that?
No.
No. Okay. So at the end, he only did it 1 year. So it was way long ago. But 1 year when he ran a kickoff meeting, right? It was a New Year's meeting, and it was either the end of December, beginning of January. He printed out every player's trend track, and he called it a report card. So when you print out your trend track, guys, look at it as a report card and really look at your, like, grade yourself, because what Shaq did was he graded all of us. He put A's, B's, C's, and I'll never forget. I don't know what he put, but he was in red, and it was one of the areas that I did not grow. He put an A plus in other areas that I grew, an A in other areas, um, an A plus plus in all theirs, and he totaled all the whole year for me, and he gave me like an A minus or something. I was like so mad about the A minus, but it taught me how to really read each area and how to really pay attention to each area. So when you look at each area that Shondell mentioned, be it personal recruits, cash flow, licensing, personal premium, that all has to be personal first. And then your team starts to follow, right? In the beginning, it's going to be you. You just have to be okay with that and expect that. You have to be the one driving that force in your team. So when before you double digit specifically as a team without doing anything, you have to be the driving force to double digit. And that's when you bring people in, new blood into your business, then you can, every other number starts to grow. Your attendance, everything else in your premium, your appointments that bring your premium, your securities, everything. When you look at this, again, what I mentioned earlier, this year, today's December, right? I mean, this month is December. This December 2020, how does this December 2020 compare so far to your December 2019? Because if you're looking at now, we're two more than a little bit more than 2 weeks in, almost 3 weeks in now, I would say. And if you're looking at it and you're saying, oh my God, I have not grown, I'm not on track to grow yet from last December, great, you have some more time in the month to grow. That's how you should be looking at it if it's within the month. But last November, did you grow from the past November last year in 2019? What about October? What happened there? And then so on for the rest of the months. Bruce said one time in a meeting, he said, if you can beat each month of this year from the same month last year, that's how you start to really start to compound your growth. So if January 2019 looks better than January 2018, like Shondell and Jar said, repeat that for 2020 and then 2021, right? So you want to look at that trend. So I this month it was like, dang, I need to get a direct for me, right? Because how many of your recruits are personal in your team when you double digit? Starting off, it has to be 4. But remember what I mentioned. First, you have to be the driving force. Then eventually your team starts to double digit and you're not even doing the work anymore, but it starts with you. This month so far, we hit 9 recruits. And I'm like, dude, we're almost like at double digit recruiting. And I haven't even gotten a direct yet. I was going crazy, guys. But then I looked at it at another standpoint. I was like, oh, wait, shoot. Wow. I really didn't have much to do with these 9 IBAs that got submitted. Wow. I remember when it was just me. That's pretty cool, guys. But you got to start with yourself first. So, your directs, were they someone you hired like Chandel said, or did they come from someone else that quit? When you hire somebody, you drive deep under them and you treat every single person under that person as if they're direct as well. And because if that person quits, they got insurance under them and your time has not been wasted. Your time has been invested, not spent. Okay. But Chandel already talked about that a little bit. So for those of you guys who don't have investment licenses, pay attention because I don't think anybody likes Charlie Browns. Okay. Because and statistically, the more products your client has, the longer they're going to stick with you anyways. I mean, when you try to follow up with somebody about an increase for their term life insurance, that's not as fun, right? Because there's no growth in insurance, okay? And insurance, like Shaq said yesterday in advanced training, doesn't work unless you unfortunately pass away. However, what's more fun to follow up with your clients of and help you with your client retention and even better referrals is that securities license that will allow you to increase that securities production number too. And as your securities production number grows, that lessens your chargebacks, which automatically increases your cash flow as well, right? Securities increasing, chargebacks decrease, cash flow increase. If you don't have a securities license, that's okay for now, but just know that until you get it, you will not be an RVP. You are not on track to be an RVP, and you just won't be with us long range. So those of you guys who have a securities license, if you have somebody under you that don't have a securities license, doesn't have a securities license, just know you got to look at them with one eye. Hey, they're going to stick with you. They may be your next RVP, but they may just quit tomorrow. And if no securities license, they're more likely to quit tomorrow. You better build under them. However, the key with every single huge hierarchy, and we know we're talking to the people that want to own their business and get to ownership one day, because when you guys sign that IBA, you signed not to have a boss, but be your own boss. And there's a lot of money making opportunities in this world, but this is the real business opportunity because you can actually sell it. But every business in Primerica, every franchise in Primerica, every big hitter in Primerica, there's a common denominator. They have full-timers, not full-timers like they think they're full-time, but they're fooling themselves, but full-timers, real full-timers. And that starts with you. You want to replace the quitters? Don't focus on them. A lot of people, it's so easy for people to focus on, oh my God, who's not here? Who didn't show up? Oh, what's your attendance? Oh, this person didn't show up. I didn't ask about that. I asked about who showed up, right? Who are you working with? Oh, and then I hear a story like, oh, this person quit and this. No, don't focus on the quitters, because if you do, you are dead. You're just as bad as them. And somebody said one day, I don't know if it was Shaq, if you keep working with the projects, you're going to end up in the projects. You keep focusing on the quitters, you're probably going to end up quitting one day yourself. You want to cross them out, burn that piece of paper, not literally, okay? Because I don't want you guys to, have a hazard going on in the house. But focus on those 7 to 10 key players. That's your 20 percenters. 20% of your team will do 80% of the work. That's your 7 to 10 key players. If you don't have 7 to 10 key players yet, well, guess what? You need to grow your team, because the 20% is based on the teammates you have showing up. So if you got 5 people showing up, guess what? You're not going to have 7 people that are key players, because 20% of 5 is 1. And guess who that 1 is? You. So you're 20% and that's all you. That's why you feel, some of you guys who with 5 people showing up feel like everything's hitting you across all angles because you're small. And that's why you got so many, issues, only because you're small and you feel them. Over time, as you build this, it's going to take 90 days to see all your results, guys. Don't think it's going to happen overnight. Just like in the gym, it takes 90 days to start seeing results toward your your weight goal or whatever you're looking for in the gym. So over time, it's going to take you 90 days. You got to keep your head down and your focus up, and then you start seeing the numbers play out in your trend. Josh, back to you.
So an example of how we can tie this all together. One thing I heard Bruce say is that momentum starts the moment you decide to have it. That's when momentum starts. And thank God for that, because if it were anything else, it'd be outside of your control. So you can decide to have momentum. Momentum makes a bad coach look good and a good coach look great. So momentum is truly what gets you to the point of greatness and also accomplishing your goals. So you really, really want to obtain it. And just because you decide to have it does not mean it shows up at your doorstep right away the moment you decided to have it. You'll gain it. It starts when you decide to have it, but it won't be 100% there immediately. There's some things you have to do. So the way that you're going to go into 2021 and absolutely dominate is you must take what you did in the first 90 days of 2021, take what you did all 2020 and beat that in the first 90 days, and momentum will slowly but surely show up at your doorstep. Beat what you did the whole year in the first quarter of 2021. And if you have a team, meet with them, sit down and meet with them and talk about January, February, and March. This is what we're going to do this year. It's going to be an unprecedented year for us, and everything is going to change by these first 3 months. Killing it, focused, laser-like. What's interesting is Bruce Kalk, who makes $120,000 a month, $120,000 a month. In 1988, I believe, or 1987, that's what it was, 1987. Bruce had 15 people that were still showing up by the end of the year that only did 5,000 in production personally or less. 15 people still standing. He was a regional vice president. He had already made $100,000 a year, and he had 15 people standing by the end of the year. And not one person in that group of 15 had ever double-digit recruited in a month. Never. So what he realized was none of this was going to happen without any full-timers, like Jen just went over. So he needed to create a focus on transitioning folks from part-time to full-time. When he did that by having them focus on double-digit recruiting, and in doing that, he was able to have them double and triple on their small numbers. And when you have a lot of people doing a little bit and you help them start to begin to do a lot in terms of their growth, you see exponential growth from the top down. So in the first year of focused effort and growth, Bruce went from 149 recruits all year long, which is actually a little over 10 recruits a month. It's like 11 to 12 recruits every month as a team, to the very next year recruiting 750 recruits a month, which is like 60 to 70 a month. So from 10 to 12 recruits a month to 60 to 70, 500% growth in 1 year. How did he do that? Because in the first 90 days of the following year, right? He got his 15 people together, his core group, said, we're going to focus on crushing our whole year in the first 90 days. And they recruited over 100 and just a little over 149 people in the first 90 days. That earned him the right to grow the following year. And they grew, 500% that year. What would your income look like in Primerica if you took what you earn now, even if it's a small number, from 2020 and grew it 500%? What would your income look like? In the second year, they continued on with that trend, guys, and went from 750 to 3,000 recruits in 1 year. That's another 400% growth on top of the 750. When you combine all of this together, in 3 years, Bruce grew his organization 20 times larger than when he started, what he started with. Because he took initiative, he focused on the holes and the adjustments that he had to make, and executed with his team, and layered all the adjustments on layer, and earned the right to grow exponentially the following year. I believe if everyone does this, we can take this organization to $1 million hierarchy, and you individually yourself, at a minimum, you'll be able to grow 4 times, quadruple what you're currently doing in your Primerica business. But you have got to analyze, okay, do the work. Most people won't print out, as simple as that is, their trend track and look at what they did all year long, highlight what they did right, black out who's no longer here, and highlight who is here to help them, and go out there and focus on doing what they did all year long in the first quarter. As simple as that is to do, most people won't do it. But I promise you, if you do it right, you'll quadruple your income in 2021.
Awesome, Josh. Well, I'm going to close this out. A lot of my points are very similar. So you got to look at who you have left. And number one, determine who your core people are. Then teach them how to look at their numbers, like Josh just mentioned. Walk them through their adjustments, how they can make those adjustments, what they need to do. Do they understand compensation, where the pay is coming from, the percentages, what they need to do to hit certain things, and then sell out to beating it. Even if your numbers are really big, you want sometimes like Bruce was saying, like if you recruited 300 people, you may not do that in the first 90 days. So maybe recruit half of those people in the first 90 days. Or just focus on beating your personal numbers, maybe not base shop numbers. So you want to look at it, but whatever number that you pick, you want to sell out to it and crush it in that first 90 days, and just make sure it's a vision and a mission of your team to do that. And if you don't have a team, just focus on beating your numbers, because if you do that, you will have a team at the end of that 90 days. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, I didn't see anything in the chat. I know sometimes this may feel a little advanced, but if you guys have any questions, let us know. We're here to answer them. No questions. Everyone's pros at looking at their trend track. No, it's all good, guys. If you guys do have questions, just let us know. We're here and happy to help. But other than that, guys, focus on setting appointments today with your team. We got pretty much a whole week before Christmas. It's awesome that it's on a Friday and not in the middle of the week. So pack out your week with appointments. Or Christmas is one day, but then I guess people have time to spend with their family throughout the weekend as well. But get some things done. But we appreciate you guys getting on. If there is no questions, have a great rest of your week. And if I don't see you guys, have a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas if you guys celebrate that. See you guys.